Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Lance Lewis with Champion Video. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I've been running a video company for a long time, and it's primarily an event video company my wife and I run. And we do a lot of events this time of the year, but because of coronavirus, we are out of work. Well, mostly out of work. Fortunately, we still have some jobs we're able to complete because they're mainly editing or single camera shoot, and we're only recording one other person. But the majority of our event work is either postponed or canceled. So we got a little extra time on our hands. So I thought, hey, we're going to do a show every night, a live streaming show. Last night we talked with the juggler with the yellow shoes, and we're planning on bringing him back again in a week or so and have him do a little performing for us. And he and I might talk about our old martial art days together. That'd be kind of fun. And tomorrow night we have a musical guest, Aaron Voras, and we're really excited about that. He's going to play some original tunes for us, him and a guitar. It's going to be awesome. And then we'll also get a chance to talk with him. But tonight, I have a special guest that is here with us. Longtime friend, Meredith Bieri. She's a vice president and licensed foster parent and child advocate for Advocates for Healthy Transitional Living. She's with me here tonight, and we're going to get a chance to talk with her and see how coronavirus has been affecting their work and also her home life. And then we might diverge off into some other categories. We'll see how things go. So Meredith, welcome to the show.
Hi.
All right, so glad to have you on. Wow, in the 50 years I've been alive, never in a million years did I think this is what we were going to be going through.
Yeah, well, you're a little bit older than me, so you've had a little bit longer that you've had to weather through. But I think I think for me, it hasn't even hit me yet. You were just saying to me how it just kind of hit you today, and I
Yeah.
think I'm just so buried with the industry that we're in that I haven't even had a moment to like pause.
Yeah.
Just got to keep going.
Yeah, what hit me today, actually, I had gotten it. I actually was out on a job, again, far and few between, but I had a job. We're doing some live streaming, some pre-recording for a church, and then we upload it to YouTube, and then there people actually tune in at the time Mass would be. So we're pre-shooting like but strict protocols, not only am I going in and it's only the father that's there, but they've cleaned this area, and then when I leave, I'm using my hand sanitizer before I get there, after I get, my hands are getting all chapped up. I've never used this much hand sanitizer. I never use hand sanitizer. I've washed my hands up. But anyway, as I'm there, he's doing Mass and stuff, and I feel my phone buzz, and I look at my watch, which is connected, and it says fourth death in Wisconsin. Now, it hits me though that it's not just that a person has died, right? It's that right now, at this very moment, there are people who are suffering. At this very moment, there's someone who can't breathe well. They might be at home, they might be in a hospital bed, they might be on the streets, but there's someone who's affected by this right now. Then the real point hit me, and that's that, it's not just coronavirus, right? There's people, minorities and people in poverty, people who don't have what other people have, that have been going through this their entire life, going through different things, not coronavirus, right? Man, I think if anything good comes out of all this, maybe just for a moment, maybe people realize and have a little empathy for other people that, before it's like it has to happen to you before you really think about it, right? And I feel like I'm a fairly empathetic person, but it's so easy to forget that. So anyway, enough about my musings. So how has life changed for Meredith Bieri?
I want to go back to something you
Yeah,
said
yeah.
though. Because I said earlier that it hadn't hit me yet, but one of the things, and it hasn't completely hit me, but one of the things that came across my Facebook today is somebody who had passed away, not from coronavirus, and they were planning the funeral, and the funeral was going to be today, but obviously with what's happening, that has to look very different. So you talking about you going in and pre-recording the church stuff, I was thinking about all the families out there who at this time have somebody who passes and they can't even properly grieve. They can't celebrate life in a way. I mean, everything is altered. So when you think about that industry, that was something today where I just kind of like stopped and I thought, wow, it's, not just people with coronavirus that are passing away right now, but the people, with the virus, the four people, what that's going to look like for their families and the grieving process, how different that's going to be.
Yeah, actually, when I was at a fairly large church today, and there was again, they're following really good protocols. I give them, it seems like, and this was a Catholic church, and there was a directive that came down that they have to follow, and they were doing that. Large facility, so there were other people in the facility. There was a couple getting married.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was them, the two of them, their daughter, and I think they had one other person, and again they were keeping distant from one another. But yeah, what you bring up about funerals, it's such a good point. Like, how do you grieve? How do you how do you go through the process that you normally would go through? Yeah, that's just crazy.
It is. I mean, that was the one thing that stuck out. So, I think the other thing that you said that made me think about it is I was sharing with you that, I think I'm a person who has had a ton of empathy my whole life. It's part of sort of the struggle, I think, a little bit, just even in everyday life before this. And I was thinking about how different sympathy is than empathy. We know that a lot of people's lives are altered right now, and I have so much sympathy for things that are getting canceled and having to do weddings differently and graduation ceremonies and kiddos that are at college and had to move home. And I was thinking how I'm very sympathetic to all of those things, but really it's the stuff that you're talking about. The people, our homeless population, our children, our elderly, our individuals who are sick and health compromised right now, how incredibly scared this must be for them. It's scary for us, but to be in some of those states has to just be, I mean, just a difference. That's what I was thinking today. What a difference there is between sympathy and empathy, and how we have to figure that out in this journey together. Like, we have to be sympathetic for the altering of lives, even if we have to be super empathetic for the individuals, who are going through something so different than what we are. So.
Yeah, and the sympathy is something that is going to be temporary.
Right.
The empathy is something that's been going on for a long time for these people.
Yeah. So how has my life changed?
Yeah.
I think I said to you, the first thing I said when I walked in the door, you said, use the hand sanitizer.
Yep.
That's true. That happened. And then and then I looked at you and Kimberly and said, I'm just buried. I'm buried. And in no way is that a complaint. I'm just buried. I mean, there's this professional life that is on the front lines, so when we talk a little bit about what I do and what our industry is doing, but then just Meredith as the human, as the person, I'm a mom, I've got kids all over, I've got kids that have been completely impacted. My spouse, he's impacted while he works in the auto industry. His job looks different. So what he was doing 3 weeks ago, day to day on his job, looks very different. He's been a really good primary caretaker for our little one, our 3-year-old, ever since he's been born. But that's even more so now. I mean, he is, I'm working 12, 18 hours just because my industry is calling for it. He's picking up even more slack. We just talked about that today. I have a almost 19-year-old daughter who just had to move out of UW-Madison this morning. So Macy and Wayne went down and moved her out. She's sad. It's her freshman year. She was working to be on the dean's list and just had created all these friendships. And so, that's kind of what I'm talking about with sympathy. Like,
yeah,
I sympathize with it. And then on the other side of it, I come home and I'm like, sharing some of our kind of war stories. And so it's that balance of understanding what she's going through.
I want to interject for just a second. There's something that you had said, that kind of caught me just a moment ago. So going back to when you got here, we said, hey, make sure you use a hand sanitizer. And then you're like, yeah, I am just buried right now. And then right after that, you said,
careful.
you said, let's see, what were your words? Basically, you're like, hey, I'll be fine. And it's okay not to be, though, right?
Yeah.
That's where that's where we can have sympathy for other people. And you don't have to feel, I think that is part of the problem, is that we see people that are hurting so bad, and, we need to have empathy for those people, but it's okay. It's okay to need it yourself too, or sympathy is, again. I love that distinction that you've made.
Well, and So part of what makes me super sad about all of this is I have this incredibly large support system. So you just said, and it's okay if you're not fine. The reason I know I'll be fine, my support system, I mean, I'm so blessed. I mean, between coworkers, the CEO that runs Advocates, literally before I came here, one of his emails was like, I just need to support you as you're leading us through this, and I need to make sure you're okay. My coworkers are incredible. I mean, the stuff that's happened in the last week, I mean, everywhere. It's happening everywhere. But that I've personally experienced, bringing my 19-year-old daughter home who is running the household with my husband. So I said I'll be fine. And then in that same token, I'll be fine because I have an incredibly large support team and system and people checking. And so I'm really lucky that I don't have to worry about some of those other things that people do. So I can literally give my energy to the industry I'm in, which is what is really taking precedent right now. So.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you kind of mentioned that because that segues me into what you do at Advocates. On a very, I don't know, I don't want to use, I guess, on a basic level, you are a support system for
Yep.
people that didn't have it. Tell me a little bit more about Advocates. What do you guys do over
Yeah.
there?
So, Advocates was founded, it's Advocates for Healthy Transitional Living. It was founded by our CEO, Dan Holstead, just about 9 years ago now. And Dan is a social worker. We'll talk about it. It's also National Social Worker Month. And there's something about that's eerie, but also really very interesting that this is happening. I think in a lot of the news and a lot of the stories, we're hearing so much about our public servants, right? And the people that provide that. And I've seen a lot of people miss social workers, and I see it firsthand every day, literally them on the front lines doing what they do. And so Advocates has a couple different programs. Our focus is children. So children from the ages, to birth all the way to 18 and independent living transitional stuff. We've got an education program that was greatly impacted. Obviously, we are not doing the in-person education at this time. We're currently transitioning to virtual education, just like many of the schools. So everything that schools are doing, we're doing. Our second program is our foster care program. And that program actually encompasses, like licensing and placement of children in homes. We also have a group home called Share Academy. So that is fully operational at this point. It's one of the exemptions that's been made. We've got a program called the Supportive Care Program. And then we have what's called respite, and that's where a child might just need a temporary place to stay for a variety of different reasons. And that really, the foster care program, out of home care program, is how the company was started. Education was an emerging need that our CEO saw. And then we've got community-based services, which is more behavioral focused, and that's a lot of one-on-one services for kiddos in their community, to work with them on a variety of different issues. So those are our programs. The really hard thing for us was we are that gray area that I think people are struggling with. We're not a hospital, yet we're taking care of people, and you can't just step back and not do the work that we do. So the last 2 weeks, I think, have been the biggest roller coaster that I could ever describe internally. We're a business, so we've got all of those business challenges, those payroll, what's the financial situation? But on the flip side, we sort of have to look or think about things a little differently because these are children, and we can't stop taking care of the children. So there are things in place. I mean, DCF, DHS, all of the things that mandate and govern us are doing a phenomenal job. I mean, a phenomenal job. I hear a lot of kudos to a lot of the police, and I hear some kudos for, government, but how people are handling it. But I'll tell you, the people that are taking care of children and families right now are doing a really great job.
All right, I'm sorry, I was looking at the texts that were coming in, and just trying to make sure that everything's running good with the stream. So, how? Give me some idea of how coronavirus has affected your day-to-day operations.
Well, we have a very, very large main kind of headquarters in De Pere, and we've got several other buildings. So first and foremost, it's how do you secure the building? How do you make sure it's clean, sanitized? The second thing is it's impacted our employees. We've had to look individually at employees and say, how can we help you? What can we do? Or what do we need to do as a business to make sure we're sustainable? And I think that's what's been incredibly challenging for us is, we're still doing the work we do. We're doing it differently, and we're doing it a little less because some of the programs, have had to halt. But it's impacted our employees greatly. I mean, every employee that walks through that door is putting themselves, essentially in it, and making that choice every day as leaders of the organization. We're constantly interacting. Social distancing has been incredibly difficult for us, much like some of the other industries, hospitals, healthcare providers. The children that we work with obviously are greatly impacted. Really hard to get people right now to think about being a foster parent or respite provider, and we completely understand that. How do you at this moment decide you're going to allow a stranger in need to come into your home? Children and families who have been struggling, who have normally had respite options, maybe a parent or a caregiver has been used to having some sort of respite every other weekend. That's been taken away, in some circumstances, or we're juggling that around, or kids are having to get used to new people. And the children we work with are some of the highest needs kids in the state of Wisconsin. So I think that's also something that's very different. This isn't like babysitting. It's not like having your neighbor's kids over and giving some respite. These are children that have significant trauma in their past and in their lives currently. So I think those are all the main challenges. We're going through it like everybody else. We've got employees who woke up and all their children's school was canceled. I personally, our daycare shut down. So this last week we had no daycare. How do you do that when you have two people who are classified in essential industries? Our employees are facing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough all the way around. And as I said at the top of the show, never in a million years did I think this is what we'd be going through. And we're going through it together, not just this country, but all the countries. And I don't think it really makes it easier. And I think we're going to go through different waves of acceptance of what's going on, and I'm not sure where we come out of this. I don't know what life is going to look like coming out, but what I do know is that human beings are incredibly resilient. There is a lot of upside, but do you have any specific needs? Let's talk about that. So you're going into work, coronavirus hits. Specific things start happening earlier when we were talking, prepping for the show. You were telling me a little bit that every day something new a new directive is coming down line that affects you guys. So that's creating needs. And I know there's some great things you guys are trying to do as well. But first of all, tell our viewers if there's something that they could do to help, even if it's something small. What's something people could do to help?
I think our largest demand truly is licensed foster parents and individuals who would consider providing respite. I realize that now is a really interesting time to put out that request.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there has ever been a time where we need it more.
Right.
And so for those of you that might not know, and I'm going to come back to that point, but for those of you that don't know, there are children that live in institutions. They have to live in hospitals. They live in shelter care. They're in secure detention. And those places have, had to kind of lock down to some degree. Yeah. So we've got kids stuck in places right now
where they shouldn't be, maybe.
They just shouldn't be. Yeah. And, Advocates has such a great vision about how children really need a loving caregiver. And, I think one of the misconceptions of becoming a foster parent is that you really are, you have to step into this parental role and be this child's parent. And what we're finding is, and I do think there's some generational impact. I think the millennials are doing it really, really well. So I have lots of compliments for them.
I love millennials.
I have a millennial, and she's killing it in life. I mean,
she's
doing great things. But I think, and that's a good point. So I want to bring up Maggie and her boyfriend Everett became licensed foster parents,
Yeah.
and have recently taken placement of some kids, and are doing respite. And what's interesting is, from the get-go, we were like, yeah, you're not going to be their parents. That's not what the need
Right,
is. The need
right.
is you're like a mentor. You're this guidance. You're this person who can give love and resources and time and energy. And so I think that's changed.
Yeah.
When I say that now we need licensed foster parents and respite providers, we do. So I would love to see lots of people step forward. But even if it's not today,
Yeah.
the biggest thing I need people to understand is, and this is always a really tough subject, but abuse and neglect will spike during this time.
Yeah.
Because people, we don't know what to do with this. People are quarantined. People
Yeah.
are locked down at home. Tensions are high, anxiety's high, mental health issues are rampant and not necessarily being addressed. We're doing the best we can. But when we come out of this, when things look the new normal, we're going to have a huge demand for licensed foster homes and respite providers. So even it's okay if today isn't the day, and it's okay if this would be scary during this time. We completely understand that, but we are definitely, in a place, in a position that we would love to get the process started.
Yeah.
So that when we come out of this, these kiddos have a place to go.
What's the biggest barrier to someone becoming a foster parent? Like in their minds, you think? What are some of the things you've heard? I mean,
Well-
let me throw out my own, like, because you've said, hey, have you and Kimberly ever considered
Yeah.
this? And we're selfish. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
I can't with you.
I mean, I'm just being honest. We made the choice not to have children, and we have sympathy and empathy for both, for people that are going through this whole thing. Our business has been upended, but we've got a couple months of cushion because we're not saving for our kids' college. We're not buying new shoes. We're not paying for the movies.
Lunch money.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
But so that's us. We're just
I need you
horrible human beings.
Yes, I need you.
So the show tomorrow night is Lance and Kimberly, now
Horrible.
foster parents.
Yeah,
But no,
I'm not leaving until I
Yeah.
convince you guys. No.
So what's a barrier? What do you hear from people?
Well, I think that's really honest of you to say, and I think that can be a thing. I wouldn't classify it as selfishness, technically.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
But I can't. Okay, well, you said that. Also, if you're going to call yourself selfish, I need you to take the part on the Facebook post that says "my bestest friend." I need you to do some social distancing from you.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, fair enough.
No,
I'm living vicariously through you.
Yes,
You
yes.
can be empathetic and sympathetic. I'm just going to be selfish.
yeah. Okay, well, I'll do it for all of us, I guess.
Yep. Someone has to.
No, I really don't think it's selfishness. I think it's unsureness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a strange thing.
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about mine and Wayne's journey. I can be honest with you. I'd never thought about being a foster parent in my life. It never crossed my mind. In all the stuff I've done, the stuff that I've done in my life. And it never really, I never talked about it. It's not something you guys heard me say like, oh.
No,
one
literally,
day.
we went over for game night, and there were foster kids there. It was like, hey. So there was more people to play. That was great.
That's really more of an indication of how Wayne and I roll.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, is that something I thought about? Interestingly enough, I did find out from my sister and brother that my mother and her first husband, so their dad, they were foster parents. So that was a really interesting piece. But it wasn't something I ever thought about. For me, I had met a child who I just had this connection with, and I was like, well, okay, they need a home, I've got a home, and they need love, and I can give love, and they need resources and teaching. And I had a pretty good experience as a parent with my own children. I mean, my kids.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, well,
I can do this.
I can't be too bad at this.
Right.
They're doing okay.
Well, only one didn't make it. I mean, nobody liked them anyway. No.
They all are.
Yeah,
just
your kids
fine.
are phenomenal.
They're
for
good.
sure.
They're
Yep.
good.
Yeah, let me interject though. So I've known you for a long time. We go way back.
So far back.
We do, and some of my favorite memories have to do with your oldest, Maggie. So I don't know if Maggie's watching right
Who
now.
is a licensed foster parent.
She is,
I need to say that.
So
Yeah.
when I first met you, she was maybe 7 or 8, yeah, something like that. And we would get together. This is when you and I were both in the wedding industry. And by the way, this is not my first time interviewing you.
Correct.
I used to have a wedding TV show when both you and I worked in the wedding industry. I was doing video, you're doing event planning. And, it was the last show. We did 14 shows. It was the last one because we didn't have any guests. We were out. You were kind of the one that was interviewing people and bringing guests in. And this was the last show we were ever going to do. And it was just you and I talking the whole time. It wasn't even about weddings. We were just talking about whatever. That was my favorite episode, by the way.
Yes,
oh, no,
yes.
no, I take it back. The financial planner.
Pete
that was
Fannin.
who I talked to just the other day, by the way. He's still doing really good, still working.
Pete.
Yeah. I'm guessing he's not watching right now. But at any rate, yeah, I think we had one viewer, and that was your brother-in-law. So, but those were some great days, and so this brings back some memories. But anyway, one of my favorite memories of coming over to the house for talking about the different events that we were working on and stuff together was Maggie would put on shows
All the time.
Yeah, she was going to have like a little performance, and then little Macy would be like half her height, and she'd be involved somehow, and sometimes Kyle would be running around in the background too, but yeah, so it's just been great knowing your family and watching them grow up. And full disclosure, Macy's actually worked for us for the last 5 years and is just a rock star.
She's a rock star,
yeah. Just a rock star. But anyway,
wait, I just need to interject because
yeah.
we've talked about Maggie and Macy being rock stars, but Kyle, our son, he is killing it in college. And talk about impact. He was texting us. He was preparing to take the MCATs this summer.
Wow.
And it sounds like that. We don't know if that'll happen.
How long has he been in college? I feel like he just left.
3 years.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
we're getting older quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's. I want to say a shout out to him because I talk about the girls a lot, but and then there's this 3-year-old, our bonus baby that you exposed on Facebook one time.
Yeah. Okay. So in all fairness, just so our viewers know what's happening. So first of all, you guys kept this secret from everybody.
Yeah.
And we were getting together, working out some ideas and stuff. Macy was working for us. So at that time, she was just, was she even able to drive yet?
No. She got her license after he was
so
born.
you were driving her to work and you'd stop in and yak for a little bit. And you said something and I said, "Are you pregnant?" And you're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What?" Couldn't believe it. So anyway, fast forward to my birthday, and we're all together. We're doing a little Facebook birthday video. And was it my birthday? Yeah, it was my birthday. It was in October, right?
It must have been.
Yeah. So, and I saw a picture on Facebook, and I remember you commenting. I thought you commented socially about it, but maybe it was in private. And you said, "Oh yeah, you can tell I'm showing," or something, And so I thought you had announced this. So anyway, we're doing this just little fun live birthday thing, and I see that my sister-in-law, or not sister-in-law, cousin-in-law, second cousin, married to my nephew, my niece-in-law. Sorry, my sister's son's wife.
Okay, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. I care.
Okay.
Have some sympathy, please.
Yes. Okay.
But reserve the empathy for the people that need it.
Yes.
So I see she's watching this post, so I shout out to her, and I remember that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, Meredith is pregnant too." And apparently you hadn't announced it yet.
No.
Yeah. So let's just say if anybody that's watching right now wants me to announce something live online.
I have nothing big.
Yeah. Well, you guys are always keeping something. You got something.
What do I got?
I need the dirt. I live vicariously through other people.
Okay, well, first of all, I just have to tell you that I have no idea why we kept it a secret. Like
Right.
I don't know what that was. I think I was afraid of like online bullying, and I have.
What? I mean, I understand online bullying, but why were you afraid of it?
No, I don't know. I was like pregnant, and then because I think we talked about like having grandchildren. I don't know. I thought it was old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for anyone that might be watching, I was really sensitive to the fact that I got pregnant the first time in my life at 15.
Yeah.
And then I was like 38, and I was like, come on, you can't even
Right.
get this right to save your life. Like, why do you have to be like young and like older? So, I don't know. And by the way, we never really announced it to anyone. So then we just posted.
did.
We posted me holding this baby one time, and everybody, old teachers, old friends from high school, kept saying, "Congratulations, Grandma," and I was like,
Oh man.
it was so there. I guess that's a form of online
Yeah.
bullying.
Sure. And again,
Anyway.
not to take light of bullying, but
No.
but yeah. Tell me about. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
so I was just gonna say. So the 3-year-old.
Yeah.
You were gonna ask me how it impacts a
Yeah,
household
like-
with a 3-year-old.
right.
What do you do?
I can't imagine.
So for anyone that knows my husband Wayne and our son Bodie, who is literally his mini me, they're a bit blissfully unaware, which is amazing.
Yep. They're pretty happy people.
They're just happy and just sunny, and
Mm-hmm.
so Bodie, all he is excited about is he says, I don't have to go to school, and that he's just happy about it. Obviously routines have changed, hand washing, being very, very aware, different of things,
Yeah.
trying to get him outside. The other day I was laughing. I had 2 of his toys were in my truck for quite a while that he had forgotten about from his birthday. I was able to get those out. That was very exciting. So I think I'm going to have to start strategically hiding some of his stuff and then bringing it out so he gets really excited to be able to.
I thought what you were going to say is
it?
you're going to hide it so he can find it, and that give
I
him
could do
something to
that.
do. I'm like, he's got to forage for his toys.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just like any other parent that's got toddlers at home. It is stressful. And there's a secondary stress that happens like every time they cough or sneeze or you're just you're just sort of always on edge. Not Wayne, however. Again, my husband is awesome in times of crisis because there's some
He's
levity.
even.
Yeah, he's even and he's not stressed out about it, and he'll take the hits for the team, and so
Everybody needs a Wayne.
yes.
For sure. So let's get back to advocates for just a second. A lot of people may not really know what's involved when you foster a child. So let's get business out of the way. If you foster a child, maybe some people are like, well, especially now, how can we do this? Because financially we're not in a position to do it.
Yeah.
But I gather there's some. So, and certainly, you foster a child out of the goodness of your heart.
Right.
And because you need to.
Yep.
And, you need to do something like that. We need to have people do something like that. Not because you're going to make money, but there must be some kind of financial compensation or something. So, again, that's just my analytical mind. Tell me you don't have to get into details, but what's that all about?
Yeah, so there is a reimbursement that comes along with being a foster parent. So, when you asked what people's biggest fear is, I think sometimes the financial piece is really a barrier. And I just had somebody say that to me, actually, who reached out to me. And that was one of their questions. They said, I don't know if we're in a financial position to do this. And what was great is I was able to say, no, there's a reimbursement that comes along with it. So you can wipe that financial piece off the table. As a barrier. And the financial piece, it really depends. So I couldn't even give you a ballpark. It depends on a bunch of different things. But there is reimbursement. And there's lots of different programs available and help for the kids that are in care.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about with advocates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I have another question for you on that. So earlier when we were prepping and talking before the show, you said there's some things you guys are trying to do to help. I mean, which is amazing because I would think your organization is in need of help, not in a bad way, but in an important way. So what is Advocates doing to try to help?
To try to help.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I was thinking about after I agreed to come do this.
Fool.
Is I haven't had a moment to just stop and think about the team that we have at Advocates. And so any of the Advocates employees that are watching, I'm careful. I don't even know if I want to go down this road because this is the part that makes me really emotional when I think about, when I watch the car drive up and the precautions that are taken. And, this week you could see us and we're with gloves and, they're taking care of these kiddos. But Advocates itself as a company, our CEO is just one of the greatest humanitarians I've ever seen, sometimes to a fault. So when he watches this, he'll giggle a little bit because I'm the business person and he is the social worker. So it's an interesting combination. My counterpart, his name is Casey Coughlin. He is the vice president of clinical services. He's also a social worker. So you can't come to Advocates or know anything about Advocates and not know that these individuals are incredible. And our service specialists who do the direct care with the kiddos, our clinical team, our foster parents, our respite providers, we have special education teachers on staff. This week alone, I've just watched what they're doing, not just to support the children and families, which some of the things we've done in that arena are we reached out to our families and said, what do you need? We did it through a Google Doc, so nobody would know it. It didn't have to be a big deal. And Charles, who is a special education teacher, he took our lead on our family resources. We went out and purchased a whole bunch of things. There are things that people don't think about beyond toilet paper and some of those necessities that these homes and families might struggle with, even non-coronavirus time. And so Charles was able to put together these boxes, drive them, put them on doorsteps. So that's one of the things. The other thing is, every day this week we did order out food to supply the staff from local businesses. We do have an incredible ability. Our CEO is always in favor of helping employees. So we've had a couple employees that we've been able to help get housing this week because they're employees who want to provide respite to our kiddos. They work with them every day. They get it. They've got the relationship built. So we've been able to do helping with vehicles. The list goes on. And our staff help us. I can't even tell you that the people that are putting in these long hours working with kiddos, really doing the work that we do, they're checking in on us. Hey, I know you guys are stressed out. Like this has to be hard to manage it all. So the team has been absolutely incredible. And I think when you talk about humanity and what this looks like, we see it every single day.
Okay, so before coronavirus, what is something that you would have told people you need?
Can I say a couple things?
Sure.
Okay. So first of all, we're a business, and I want to make it really, really clear. I say that it's just the way that we're classified. So we're not a nonprofit. So we can't actually take donations. So
wait, you can't take donations?
No.
Oh, so you could take donations, but they don't get any kind of financial tax benefit. Is that what you're saying, or what?
Well, a business can get a gift or barter, but
people could bring
there are laws and
Okay.
things that we have to follow.
Okay.
So really, truly, the things we're always looking for, we're always in need of staff. So individuals who might have a desire to work in this industry.
Are you guys hiring?
All different. So we are. We're actually always hiring. We're one of those industries that unfortunately is growing every day.
Yeah.
We need.
Tell our viewers why that's unfortunate in case it's missed on them.
Okay, so it's unfortunately because the more people we're hiring and the more the industry is growing, it means there's more children that need this help. And our children, it's not always. I want to clarify too. Some of our kiddos, it could be a mental health issue or a trauma. It doesn't necessarily mean or have anything to do with their parents. So I want to make that really, really clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Now there are some where it could have something to do with that. Every child comes with a story.
Yeah.
The other unique thing is every employee comes with a story. And so what Dan, the CEO, has done really, really well, and it's probably one of the only places that I've seen our 60 to 70% of our employees have lived life experience. That's what we call it, true lived life experience. So a lot of our employees were these kids. Several of our employees actually were in the system in foster care when they were children. They've all got stories. So a lot of times our employees are individuals who may not have been able to get jobs in certain industries. And while we do background checks, very regimented background checks, we're sort of a place where we develop together. And so we're not just developing and helping the kiddos, lots of times our staff, we just have a different way of going about the way we do business. We believe that disrupting the industry a little bit by hiring individuals who truly understand what these kids are going through is a much better outcome, can give a much better outcome. So, we have kids in our program who are teen moms. And so I actually work directly with them because I was a teen mom. So it's things like that. It's matching these kiddos with employees who might have had the same lived life experience. So our need is employees who really truly want to do the work, individuals who think about opening their home, whether it be as a licensed foster parent. And that might mean having a kiddo for 3 months. It could be 3 years. It could be till they're 18. We also have a desperate need for respite providers, and that could be a kiddo at your house for a night. It could be 3 nights. It could be a week. So that's a little different. I'm trying to think. I think the other thing I was thinking today, because I wondered if you were going to ask me a question or a version of this, I think what we all need, not just advocates, is we need to have a really fundamental understanding of judgment. I think people are operating the best they can with what they know, with what they have, with what experiences they have, what they've been taught. And so I've just seen on social media, you see the memes. Some of them are very funny. Let's not pretend they're not. But I myself have to check myself all the time because I'm judgmental the other way. Right? So lots of times we get judgment about people in poverty or people struggling, and we hear these things. And I'm actually judgmental the other way. So I have to...
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I just don't hold back as much.
Yeah, you're not as...
Yeah, I often get people that say, I can't believe you posted that. But I always want to come down on the side of truth. Of course, sometimes it's what I think is true, but
it's your own truth.
Yeah,
Well, never hurt anyone.
Okay, so you've said some pretty big things that people can help with. Is there anything small, like
No.
It's all or nothing,
I need you all in.
No, so actually, and I get that, and I by no means want to take anything away from that, but I know that when you take in new kids, sometimes they come sometimes with a garbage bag with their clothes in it.
That's truth. Yep, that's a true thing. Kids, a lot of the kids we work with, when they come, let's just say on Monday, they actually don't even know where they're going to stay Monday night.
Right.
That's our job, is to find them.
And help me understand that. So how is it that you end up with a new kiddo? What's happened?
So our incredible county partners, which by the way, I do want to do a shout out to our counties because I just seeing what they've had to do in the last couple of weeks is absolutely, it's incredible what the county workers at that level have to do, especially working with children and families. But referrals come in. And so, during this time, remember, we do have people that have to make really tough decisions on removing children from homes where it's not a fit. And then coming out to places like advocates. There's other foster care placement agencies in the area. There's other service providers. We're all in it together. And they would call and let us know, or, the counties itself put a referral through. That's how a child would end up coming to us. At this point, transporting the child can still happen. So even with some of the mandates in place, for Corona, you still have to be able to transport a child somewhere. It's our job to find the best fit. It's our job to then make sure that child and the provider have everything they need, food, supplies, things like that, and then connecting the two.
Yeah. Would it be... Again, I'm really going to push you on this. What small things that people can do?
I know.
So do you need items like Kleenex, toilet paper, toothbrush, toothpaste? Is this stuff you guys stock up and it's just part of the cost of doing business? Or
Yeah, we have some of that. That's why I said those resources. No, those are not the thing. Really, those are not the things I need.
Okay, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
But let me say this.
Yeah.
But we have employees who work for us that probably have those needs. And so, if you're somebody watching this and somebody that works at Advocates, one of the small things you can do is reach out to our employees and support them.
Yeah.
Because truly, they're working long hours. We we had to skinny our staff down a little bit during this time. And so they're working long hours, their spouses are having to pick up a lot of the stuff on the other end. So I would say small things could be supporting our staff. And I know people are going to think it's really weird that I would say not that we can't take stuff, but we really can't. So there are other organizations that need it more than us, because we as a business can't take it that way.
So prior to you working at Advocates, I had never heard of the organization. So maybe something, again, we got to find something. Maybe something people can do is share your website. Your website is posted below, but it is www.advocateswisconsin or advocateswi.com.
Yep.
And I went to that website earlier. It's not just De Pere, right? You have a couple different locations.
Yep, we've got De Pere's our main office. We've got a location in Neenah, which opened last year based on a need and demand. We've got great county partners. Serious shout out to Winnebago County. They're amazing. Shawano, we have a site there. We love our county partners in Shawano County. We've got the group home, which is in Peshtigo, Wisconsin. And then we've got the De Pere site. We've got our supportive care program, which is based out of Swamico. So yes, lots of locations, lots of need. We actually run some programs in Washington County. So really we can service anywhere in the state at this point, especially with our foster care.
Anything else you want to bring up about Advocates or any of your needs or any shout outs that you want to give?
I'm going to check my list that I wrote. I didn't want to forget anything. No, I mean, shout outs again to Advocate staff, county workers, health and human service workers, Department of Children and Families, literally our foster parents are heroes in my eyes right now, keeping our children safe, keeping them housed, bio families who we're struggling with children who have mental, illness or have trauma, who are now in a different position to take care of those kiddos and really are going to be heroes. I mean, parents all over right now, I think about them, but parents with special needs and any of the kiddos with mental health challenges.
Yeah. Okay, so I asked our guests last night this. I'm going to ask you too. Toilet paper. Did you hoard it? Did you stockpile?
Okay.
Be honest.
No, I will. This is so funny. So I told you I'm buried, right? So I'm like literally at work and I'm like, what should I be thinking about this? And I was feeling guilty, like, we don't need it. Like, okay, well, we need toilet paper.
Right.
And so I had to so I have to juggle between being Meredith Advocates and knowing and seeing what I see there, and then being Meredith mom, wife,
Sure.
So the truth is I went on Amazon and it was like $50 for, 4 rolls or something, I don't know. And I had a complete breakdown and I had to call Macy, who was still at college, and vent and tell her all the things I thought were wrong with society. Sorry, I did. I was really in a judgy mood. And then a friend of mine posted an online place. And so I went on. I did not hoard it. No.
An online place. It sounds like it's like a black market for toilet paper or something. It's the dark web.
No, it was Grove.
Okay.
It was a website. And so I went on and it's bamboo toilet paper.
What? It's toilet paper made out of bamboo. Okay, got it.
So there I am with my bamboo toilet paper.
So, and even more importantly, and quite seriously here, so there was a time we were over at your house for a game night, and the conversation had moved to whether people fold their toilet paper or scrunch their toilet paper. And what I want to know is the people in your house, I'm not going to call out any names specifically, but the people in your house,
Wayne.
We now have to wonder, is folding more efficient, and do people like you and I need to switch to this method?
Well, clearly the scrunching of toilet paper I've been doing my life is going to go in my selfish bucket.
Right.
Because clearly I've been wasting toilet paper my whole life. I don't know. It's not.
Old habits are, die hard.
It is not something that ranks anywhere in the top 5,000 things I'm thinking about right now. So
right.
I'm
That's
just lucky to have a moment to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. And for our viewers that are watching or will watch this in rebroadcast, right now, for me, a little bit of humor is what makes getting up a little bit easier. Easily, I think all of us could curl up in a ball, and it's affected all of us in different ways. For my wife and I, it's our financial well-being. It's our business. For Dan Kirk last night, same thing. For yourself, our guest tomorrow said he had all of his shows canceled. All of his musical shows canceled for the next 3 or 4 months, just done. And so that's tough stuff. So, I hope people understand that's why I want to just find the humor in the situation, and hopefully nobody takes offense to that.
You know what, though? We have had moments throughout the last couple of weeks at work at Advocates where sometimes we're at each other's throats. We're stressed.
Yeah.
This is stressful. And then we go to laughing, and you literally have to cope. Laughter is coping. And so if that's what people need to do it. Find funny things to watch, call people who make you laugh, make jokes. Again, there's a fine line between that and being judgmental and being really cautious and careful and understanding that people literally are operating the best they can.
Yeah.
And so I think that too. It's funny. It's not funny, but I was just thinking, are people going to think, why are they laughing about stuff like this?
Yeah.
But you know what? We're operating from where we need to operate from to make it okay.
Yep, agreed. So you've had an interesting work history. You've had lots of different jobs, and two jobs that stick out in my mind that really identify, I think really kind of, are at the core of who you are as a person. One of them being Advocates, of course. But the other one is, I like to call you a serial entrepreneur. You have done a bunch of startups and been quite successful at many of them. Let's talk Be So Good.
Wait, I have never been successful at Why would you just say that?
I think perhaps you might be a little harder on yourself.
Okay.
But let's talk Be So Good.
Yeah.
So what is Be So Good? A labor of love, a passion. Tell our viewers what it is. And,
Okay.
if you don't do a good enough job, I'm going to tell them what it really is.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think it morphs. And so first of all, Be So Good, I've done not a lot with recently.
Sure.
Once I started at Advocates, I knew where my focus and energy had to go. But the interesting thing about Be So Good is it's literally what positioned me with Advocates.
Right.
And so Dan, the CEO of Advocates, I sat down and I was like, this is my dream. I have a dream. I'm going to do this. But, and so it's been really wonderful to work with him because he's like, well, let's take steps and make that happen. So, but Be So Good, first of all, our tagline is dedicated to the betterment of society. And it's important to know that because it's actually the same thing that is on my grandfather's headstone. And so that's where I stole it from, which is a little weird. But, and so literally it is about being a better human being. And I say that to people and they kind of look at me sometimes, but it really has morphed into something about people understanding and having awareness of how we individually can kind of take a look at ourselves and say, what's one thing or two things or more things for the rest of my lifetime? How can I be a better human being? You produced a video for us that's actually on our website, but also on our social media. And it was gathering some interesting people, some of my favorite people I know, and what they do to be a better human being. There is a much bigger plan for it someday.
Yeah.
It does have some products. We donate money back to local causes. We give local entrepreneurs and artists the opportunity to do things that are inspiring, but also really help people think about being better.
Give me an example of what one of the products would be.
Oh, I'll give you a great example. So one of my favorite products is we have these coasters.
Oh, I love the coasters.
The coasters.
Love them.
I know, they're one of my favorite things, which actually Kimberly
my wife Kimberly
creates.
made them.
Yep, she made them. But the coasters are kind of a play on the scientific symbol chart, right? Did I say that right? I'm starting to lose my...
No, but it'll come to me.
Periodic table. Done.
It came to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I know. What did I say? Scientific symbol.
Yes, it's a sciencey thing, It's Science and math.
I've just irritated every scientist in the world.
Pretty
Awesome.
much.
Yep.
Well, now we're down a viewer.
We don't
It was
even know.
Kimberly.
I was going to say, we don't know a scientist, do I? Do I?
Yeah,
But
so
yeah,
it's
they're
got-
coasters, and
yep.
it's got the play on the periodic symbol, but they're all really great words like empathetic and kindness, and
it's,
grace.
and it'll be like the letter E and then a number, so it looks like it's from the periodic table, and then underneath it says empathy or something like
Correct.
that. Right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm going to tell you a little story about your coasters that maybe I don't know if you know this or not. So first of all, Kimberly didn't create them; you created them.
Okay.
She helped cut the wood for them. That's and laser engrave, which is awesome. But Wayne prepped the wood. He stained the wood. You created the idea, the concept, and all that. So it was really collaborative effort. But so Kimberly and I used to be pretty big into some online gaming, and we had gotten to know an online community, and we had nicknames. Her nickname was Lucy, and it's a long story to why. My nickname was Az, or is Az, and just. Long story behind it.
Okay.
Actually, not that long, but not that important. So she made us 2 coasters, one that said AZ, and then I think underneath it she said amazing, and then LU for Lucy.
Yes.
But she said underneath it was lucky. So those are upstairs on our table right now, and I use it every day. And I think about you guys every time I put my drink down on it. And I think be so good. I think if coronavirus has killed Champion Video, then maybe I'm going to
You guys
do
are gonna
a
take it
corporate takeover. Yep, corporate
Okay.
takeover. Be so good.
That'll be super easy right now. Now's your chance, selfish man.
I've got 2 things for sale. It's an AZ coaster and an LU coaster. Kimberly, need you to make some more.
Well, Ross at Marshall Florist has some
Yeah.
of this stuff for sale too.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Where's his
people can
shop
stop
again?
by there. In Kaukauna, right on Wisconsin Ave in Kaukauna.
Is he open?
No.
Probably not open. All right, so find him on Facebook.
Well, you could call him or something.
What are your websites for Be So Good? Website, Facebook, how can people find it?
Facebook is just Be Soul Good, so you can find it. You can also, I just shared it actually for this broadcast, so you can look. I shared it through Be
good.
Soul Good, and then you can actually get to the website right there, but besoulgood.com.
Okay, so we're just about done here. First of all, anything else? I'll just give you a second chance on advocates. Anything that we missed or came to your mind while we were thinking? I don't want to leave anything out.
I just want to reiterate that if there is anyone that is interested, and even if you're just in the interest stage, this is not like a hard sell process. If you're interested, I really encourage you to go to our website. There's actually a submit a referral, or there's a form on our foster care page that you can submit if you want to just submit your name and address and phone number.
Keep talking. I'm going to go to your website here. It's going to take me a few moments.
Okay.
I'm going to find it, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the website, and I'm going to bring it up for our viewers, but it's going to take me a few minutes because I wasn't quite prepared for it.
Oh,
so I'm going to
sorry.
click over. No. I'm going to click over to you live,
Okay.
full screen, while I take care of business over here. So you're just going to have to run with it, Meredith.
That's
run
just
with
fine. Anyway, so if you go on the website, you could submit, and the process really would be we would reach out to you, we would set up a time to do a virtual meeting, or we could just do a phone meeting, we can set up a Zoom meeting, and we would just kind of get to know you, talk through what the process is. It's your chance to ask questions, and then kind of find out, is it something that immediately you're looking at doing, or is it a contact me later after we kind of get through this. But I encourage people, if there's any level of interest you have, now's the time to kind of contact us, because the process can take a month, 3 months, 6 months, depending on where you're at with it. So getting it started now is really important. So that's what I would say about advocates. Know that the whole team at Advocates is working really, really hard to keep children and families safe, and to continue services so there isn't a huge disruption. It's very important to know that as a society, that there are people doing this work with kiddos. And we are working really hard to keep kids in the community that they should be in our communities, and not in some of the other places I talked about. So that's what I would say about Advocates. I'd say shout out to all the team there, our CEO who led me on this journey, which I never thought I would be on. Also, shout out to my family, who is amazing and all in their own right has had to make some sacrifices, which I have a ton of sympathy for.
Okay, I've got it lined up here. I'm
Okay.
going to switch over to it. Hopefully I've got everything routed right. We are on your website right now. Tell me where to go.
So there is a submit a referral at the top. They could do that. They won't fill out all of the some of the information won't be pertinent, but they could do it there.
Okay.
There should be. I'm not
Let's see, it
on
says
it.
home, about us, services, join our team, submit a referral, contact us.
Under services,
Yep.
there should be out of home care or foster care academy that pops up.
Okay, I'm also getting notice that I've got a little bit of echo coming in, so my apologies. All right, I went back to yours live. Like I said, I didn't set this up prior, and I think we were messing with audio a little too much there. So I'm back to your image. Just go ahead and.
So services.
Yep.
Okay, and foster care academy, or does it say foster care?
Yeah, a foster care academy, independent living program, urgent response.
Click on the foster care academy.
Yep.
And there should be somewhere on there a contact form. Maybe scroll down to the bottom.
Yep, absolutely, on the bottom.
Okay.
Cool. So
There it
that's
is.
that's how people can kind of reach out.
Yeah, and again, don't delay. If there's any part of you that thinks about it, now's the chance. Because all we're asking is to let's start the conversation. Let's
Yeah.
just start a conversation about how you can help.
So if they do this and they say, what's something small I can do? That's not really, no, I'm just
I'm gonna come up with something really
Right.
big, and then
Right.
it's gonna be a thing.
Yeah. But no, so you're not going to hound them. You're not going to, but it puts you on the radar, puts them on your radar, and then you can have conversations, and maybe it leads to something, maybe it doesn't.
And really, something small they can do is if they go and like our Facebook page, there's lots of posts. There's
Yeah.
things that talk about being a foster parent, just sharing that, even if you're not from this local area, you're not somebody that advocates can work with.
Right.
Wherever you live, there's some agency, something that does foster care.
Yeah.
So just sharing the Facebook post and the need for foster parents would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. We're just about finished up here. We're just a little over the 1 hour mark. Although you and I could sit and talk, that's what we do. But let's just real quickly talk about.
We can make up a subject.
No. I got a couple things,
Okay.
and I'm just got to find the right words for them. But you've been working at home to a degree, throughout your life as you've done different businesses, so you know what it's like to work. Do you have any advice? Because now we've got millions of Americans or humans across the world who are now working at home. I've have a lot of experience with that as well. But for me, I don't even think about it. Like running my own business is just natural. I've never done anything else, so there's no adjustment there. But what's advice that you could give? What advice would you give someone who now, for the first time, is working at home?
Ugh, you're gonna hate my answer.
That's it. No, you.
No, so I think it so depends on the person. I mean, I hear and I see some things where people say, make sure you get up and you get ready, just like you go to the office. And for me, that would actually be not a thing I would do. I barely get ready when I go outside anyway.
So it's PJs and no shower all day long?
That's me.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is what I would say. I would say, if you're not somebody who's comfortable with technology, that's something that I would do really, really quickly. And if you have a teenager that you have access to virtually or in your home and you need help with it, get some of the technology help you need. I just think about working from home and having to learn all the different platforms I had to use and things I had to do and, what made me more efficient. That would be my advice. But also, don't beat yourself up. It's a totally different world. Like, if you want to work at midnight, I mean, you and Kimberly are an example.
Yeah.
Working from home doesn't necessarily mean 8 to 5 unless your company dictates that.
Yeah. For me, it's always been as long as the work gets done.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges for the way that I've kind of set my hours is that I think outside people often think that we're just available all the time.
Right.
Now, and I don't mean like family and stuff like that. They know, oh, I'm sorry to bother you. In fact, they say that all the time, sorry to bother you. But bottom line is, I'm not going to pick up the phone if I don't have the time. And yes, I can shift time. So something comes up, I can drop what I'm working on, go do stuff most of the time, not always. Sometimes there's deadlines, but, well, there's always deadlines. Sometimes there's deadlines that are now, right?
Right.
But yeah, I know I'm right in lockstep with you in agreement that, you got to do what works for you. I think it's great advice that Dan gave about, having a pattern and sticking to it, a schedule and sticking to it. That's great. But for me, I don't know if you tuned in to this part of the broadcast last night, but I told Dan, I sleep in till I wake up on most days. Now don't get me wrong, there's days Kimberly and I are working 16-hour days, logging 16 hours of being on a job site working. And, we're kind of longing for those days right now, but my point is that most of the time I get to sleep in, wake up when I wake up, go to bed when I'm tired, and I think that's done great for my looks. I'm really 80 years old, so I'm just a very young-looking 80. But no, you got to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
Hey, what other kind of advice do you have for humans in the age of coronavirus?
Well, I think my biggest one is what I said before, which is just, we really got to be careful. We got to give people grace, and it's hard. But, people are trying, especially on social media right now, people are trying to stay connected, and sometimes they're not going to get the picture right, and they're going to say it wrong.
Yeah.
They don't need to be corrected. They don't need to be like, I don't know. I see so much where, and again, should you be following all the orders? Yep, but people are going to make missteps, and we don't need to all attack them.
Yeah.
There's a way to help people see what the right thing is, and you got to be careful. And I'm guilty of it sometimes. What are you doing? Why are you going? What do you do? And we just got to be really, really careful. But also, what are the things that you're doing and we're going through now that you want to continue on? I mean, what are some good habits that are happening? And that's one of the positive things that I can see happening is we're going to develop a new normal, like you said. What things do we want to take and not go back to?
Yeah. All right. Anything you want to leave? Anything else you want to leave with the viewers?
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I do want to tell the viewers that this show is an example of how Corona can change. The coronavirus can change people's sort of everyday lives. You and Kimberly said your business has been greatly impacted, which we know. But this is something you wanted to do for a very, very long time. So it's really cool that you were like, you know what, I'm going to do it. Now's the time. So.
Yeah, and just so you know, literally it was yesterday at about noon.
Yeah.
I said, we're going to go live every night. And we started pulling out lights, pulling out gear, setting up some cameras, and called Dan up, and I'm like, hey, you want to be on the show tonight? He's like, yeah, we'll do it. No, literally, same day. I'd said it to you. Yesterday. I said, and I think before you had gotten back to me, I had said, nope, tonight's booked or whatever.
Yeah.
And let's shoot for the next day. So we are looking for other people that want to be on, and anybody that just wants to sit and talk. I really appreciate you coming on the show and your friendship throughout the years. I think this is, you and I will be doing this again 10 years from now, hopefully.
From the nursing home someday. Kimberly's going to be pushing us around.
Right, that'll be awesome. We'll have some races in our with our walkers or something. Really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you as a human being and what you do in your work. Appreciate you coming in and sharing everything. Meredith, I'm going to do a little wrap up. Your mic will still be hot, so just hang tight. But I will get off you visually. So, if you need to, blow your nose or something and you didn't want anybody to think you had a cold.
Kind of good right now.
No. All right, so I'm going to just do a quick little wrap.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. All right, so there you have it, Meredith Bieri with Advocates. And I keep shortening the name. It's actually Advocates for Healthy Transitional Living. You can go to their website at www.advocates. I keep saying cats, advocates with wi.com. Let me spell that out for you. ADVOCATESWI.com. Their biggest needs right now, it's similar to what their needs were before, but it's a little greater right now, and that is that they need for you to consider becoming a foster parent or a respite, someone that can do respite, which is maybe just a little bit more temporary, I think. And so please check out their website, check out their Facebook page. And just to wrap things up here, Again, my name's Lance Lewis from Champion Video. Make sure that you are practicing the things we're being told to practice, socially distancing. Make sure that you are washing your hands 20 seconds. And just a quick little tip, if your hands are starting to get raw, there's some good lotions out there. When I have Kimberly on the show, she's going to be talking about hydroponics, and maybe we can get her to talk about what kind of hand lotion she's having me use, because it's definitely been making a big difference. We are going to see you tomorrow night, where we're going live with Aaron Voras, and I got a picture of him up there. He's going to be playing an acoustic guitar and singing for us. And I'm really excited to have him on the show. We're actually going to step up the production even more. We're going to do a 3-camera live mix when he's actually performing. And he and I will talk a little, but it's going to be also him playing some original tunes. So I really hope you can tune in. Again, Lance Lewis Champion Video. Stay well and take care. And let me take